Nothing in this podcast or on our website should be construed as medical advice. Consult your healthcare provider for your individual nutritional and medical needs. The information presented is based on our research and is strictly that of the author and not necessarily those of any professional group or other individual.
Hi, I'm Sue Becker from Bread Beckers. Welcome to Sue's Healthy Minutes. I'm so excited you've joined me today, and I hope this episode encourages you and allows you to find the answers you have been praying for the health of you and your family. Today on Sue's Healthy Minutes, I will be short and sweet. Literally, I've got a heavy travel and speaking schedule coming up for the next few weeks, so today's episode might be a little shorter than usual, but a whole lot sweeter. I often teach about the goodness of honey and it being the only truly unprocessed sweetener that God has given us. I also frequently use and talk about sucanat or evaporated cane sugar and honey granules as healthier options to substitute for brown sugar and white sugar in baking. But I realized a few weeks ago that I rarely mention molasses. So today I thought I would give some attention to this age-old sweetener. The name molasses comes from a Latin word meaning honey, and it was first seen in print in 1582 in a Portuguese cookbook. Molasses was originally brought to the American colonies from the West Indies to make rum, which caused the British to levy heavy taxes on molasses through the Molasses Act of 1733. This angered the colonists, who simply ignored the taxes. Up until 1880, though, molasses was the primary sweetener in the U.S. because it was so much cheaper than refined white sugar. But after World War I, refined white sugar prices dropped drastically, making it more affordable for most families. By 1919, the consumption of refined white sugar in the U.S. had doubled, pushing the less sweet, stronger flavored molasses aside. Interestingly enough, molasses today costs nearly twice as much as refined white sugar. Sounds a bit like our white bread story. An interesting bit of molasses trivia: in 1919, a huge vat of molasses at the Purity Distilling Company in Boston exploded, spilling 2 million gallons of molasses into the streets and killing 21 people. This molasses disaster came to be known as the Great Molasses Flood. Molasses is a thick, dark, syrupy sweetener produced as a byproduct of the commercial processing of sugar, either from sugar cane or sugar beets. Molasses made from sugar beets has a very bitter taste and is therefore not generally sold for human consumption. Sugar beet molasses is mainly used to sweeten animal feed and in some fermentation processes. But sugar cane molasses, however, has a very pleasant taste and can be used as an alternative to sugar or honey where a richer, more distinctive flavor is desired, such as gingerbread, ginger cookies, or a dark rye bread. Now, producing molasses requires a 3-stage process that yields different types of molasses at each stage. The first stage begins with the extracted juice of the sugarcane. The juice is boiled to concentrate the liquid and crystallize the sugars. When the sugar crystals are removed, a light-colored syrup known as first press or light or amber molasses remains. This molasses has a mild, sweet flavor and a sugar content of only about 65%. This light or amber molasses can be used in baking or as a sweet table syrup. This syrup then may also be boiled a second time. As more sugar crystallizes and is removed, the syrup becomes darker and the flavor more intense. This second press molasses, known as dark molasses, has a stronger flavor than the first press molasses and is not nearly as sweet. In baking, it can generally be used interchangeably in recipes calling for the light or amber molasses. A final and third boiling produces the darkest and most concentrated molasses of all, known as blackstrap molasses. Though blackstrap molasses cannot be used interchangeably with good results in recipes that specifically call for light or even dark molasses, it can be delicious in a dark rye or hearth breads where a distinctive, rich flavor is desired. One other designation often used with molasses syrups is sulfured or unsulfured. Sulfured molasses is made from young sugar cane, and sulfur dioxide is added during the sugar making process to keep the sugar cane fresh, as well as to whiten the sugar crystals and to kill any unwanted bacteria. Unsulfured molasses is made from sugar cane that has been allowed to ripen in the field. Since molasses does not readily spoil, preservatives are not really necessary. I prefer unsulfured blackstrap molasses and not having any chemicals added. Now, let's get to the good part about molasses. It's not just a sweetener. Unlike refined white sugar, it actually has some nutritional value, with the third stage or blackstrap molasses being the most nutrient dense. In fact, it is considered by some to be a superfood full of valuable vitamins and minerals such as iron, calcium, magnesium, potassium, selenium, and vitamin B6. Perhaps the most unique benefits of molasses is that it also contains antioxidants and other helpful compounds. A 2007 study in the Journal of Food Science tested the antioxidants in molasses extracts and found that they help protect against DNA damage. That same year, a study in the Journal of Oleoscience found that certain phenolic compounds in molasses also have antibacterial activity, including the ability to inhibit organisms that promote tooth decay. In 2015, researchers reported in the Journal of BMC Complementary and Alternative Medicine that these same phenolic compounds had anti-cancer activities. Now, I am not at all suggesting that you try to get all these nutrients by eating a lot of molasses. To get enough protective nutrients from molasses, you'd be consuming far too much sugar. But I will say, perhaps in moderation, molasses could be a healthy addition to your diet. At Bread Becker's, we offer the organic, unsulfured blackstrap molasses by Wholesome Sweeteners in two sizes, 16-ounce and 32-ounce. 1 tablespoon of Wholesome Sweeteners molasses provides 10% of your daily value for calcium and magnesium and 20% for iron, and a heart-healthy ratio of potassium at 300 milligrams and sodium at only 15 milligrams, with vitamin B6 at 8% of your daily value. I enjoy taking a spoonful of molasses, especially for some quick energy, but also to satisfy that salty, sweet craving. It is equally delicious on some buttered toast or biscuits. And of course, used as the sweetener in the dark molasses oatmeal bread from my essential home ground flour book. It is definitely one of my favorites. In the cooler months, I like to just stir a tablespoon of our organic unsulfured molasses by Wholesome Sweeteners into a mug of hot water with a splash of milk or cream for a simple and delicious hot drink. I'll put the links to both sizes of the Wholesome Sweeteners organic unsulfured molasses in today's podcast description, along with a few reference articles. Unsulfured blackstrap molasses is certainly a tasty treat that should not be overlooked. Let's help bring it back into the spotlight it deserves. I hope you enjoyed learning about molasses today. Until next time, this is Sue Becker from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minutes.
Sue's Healthy Minutes podcast has been a presentation by the Bread Beckers Incorporated, located in Woodstock, Georgia. For more information, store hours, and learning opportunities, visit breadbeckers.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast and never miss an episode. Share this with 2 friends who would benefit from this information, and be sure to join us again next week for more of Sue's Healthy Minutes.